Some of you may be in the fantasy playoffs already, but there's still some gems out there on the waiver wire. Join us while we give you options at every position coming up next.
It's about that time.
Stoned on Sports.
How you doing, everybody? You are tuned in to Stoned on Sports Fantasy Baseball. My name is Matt. Got the awesome yet frustrated co-host Kyle here with me today on this beautiful Tuesday. And that's right, we're going around the horn with waiver wire options at every single position, filling all the holes you may have on your roster. Kyle, how the hell you doing, dude?
Doing great. Glad to be here with you. Glad to give you guys some waiver advice there for the fantasy baseball playoffs. If you haven't, give us a like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. We love everyone that interacts in the chat and the comments, and we appreciate you as well. We love the questions. Keep them coming. We're still building this community here. We're on the road to 500 subscribers. Give us a subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Make me and Matt pretty happy. So, all right, first guy we got here. We're going to start at catcher with Adrian Del Castillo with the Diamondbacks. 22% owned on Yahoo. He set the Pacific Coast League on fire this season in the minors with 24 homers and a 10-10 OPS, which was the highest among any player in the PCL with at least 200 plate appearances. And again, he did that as a catcher. I like that when catchers produce like that. So since his call up on the 7th of August, he is fantasy catcher number 8 in his second career game. He hit his first major league homer, 416 feet, exit velocity of 105.9 in a walk-off. And I watched a clip of it, and the pitch, a four-seamer, was just the meatiest of all meatballs. He's locked into a platoon role there. He's a lefty. And while there are some left-handed pitchers on the schedule coming up for Arizona, I think he's still a nice option just with how well he's been hitting. He's been hot. He's also been extremely lucky as well with a BABIP at 452. To put that into perspective, MLB average is down to 290. So he's been getting very, very lucky. Take advantage of it on this hot streak. In 17 games played, he has 17 hits, including 2 doubles, 3 homers, 14 driven in, 9 runs scored, tossing a stolen base. He's slashing 321, 400, 528 slugging. So, everybody's got a wart, right? His strikeouts, 31.7%. Again, small sample size. He has the ability, at least in AAA, to be better. So hopefully he can, figure out major league pitching a little bit, because he was under 17% and over 400 plate appearances in the minors. And it's no wonder he has 19 strikeouts so far this year. A guy whiffs on pretty much everything with a rate approaching 30%. The walk rate, though, is amazing at 11.7. And looking at his minor league career, it is nothing new. He is consistently in, that 11-12 mark. I mentioned the 3 home runs. He's got some pop to his bat, too. Average exit velocity is below average, but his hard hit rate is awesome at 41%, putting him in the 60th percentile. And he's barreling the shit out of some balls, 14.7 barrel rate, and he knows what part of the bat to hit those balls with as well. His sweet spot percentage is very good at 41.2. Do keep in mind, extremely small sample size at the highest level, but if qualified, both of those last stats would be in the top 5%. Very nice. His expected stats are very good. His expected slugging of 484 and his xwOBA of 352 are in the 80th percentile. And his expected batting average of 245, while it's slightly below average, it's worth pointing out that the actual Major League Baseball league average is 245. So kind of nice. He's certainly one of the hottest hands at the catcher position right now. And if what he's done this season is, at all for real, I think he needs to be rostered in pretty much every league where you start 2 catchers. Even in 1 catcher leagues, I guess I'd be willing to give him a look. If you have something like Logan O'Hoppe or something in my lineup, maybe I'll take Del Castillo with that over the fence pop. I think it makes him worthy of an ad.
Not bad. And they've got some lefty hitters there in Arizona that have some pop. Him and Jock Peterson comes to mind.
Yep.
They do well with their platoons.
They do. All right, going on to first base. We love this guy. This Tigers first baseman has flashed that power again, hitting 4 home runs in his last 15 games since returning from AAA. Matt, if you need a corner infielder, is Torkelson a good ad? Spencer Torkelson a good ad?
You damn right our cover boy is a good ad. He's the number 2 first baseman since getting called back up on the 17th of August. And look, let's be real. Dude started the year terribly. Before being sent down at the beginning of June, there was no power. He was striking out all the time. He had a 201, 266, 330 triple slash. Absolutely disgusting. He spent a couple months down at AAA Toledo where he got his power stroke back, walked a lot, and he also struck out 31% of the time. But since coming back, the dude's hitting 309, 367, 618. That's a 985 OPS. He's homered 4 times. He's chipped in 3 doubles. He's even got a triple. He's driven in 10 and scored 9 for our Tigers that are a couple games over 500 coming into the week. Strikeouts have not stopped since he come back. And it's happening a third of the time that he goes up there. Surprisingly, there's not a lot of swing and miss in there, though. His swinging strike rate is at 9% flat, and his whiff rate is a little over 25% on the season. So that tells us he's watching a lot of them go by. And let's just hope that the ones he's watching go by are on the outer black that he couldn't really do anything with anyway. His walk rate has remained roughly the same at 6.7%, but unfortunately, it's still down 3 points from last season's mark. He is showing an improved eye at the plate, though. His chase rate is just 21.1% since coming back, and on the year, it's a damn nice 23% flat. I absolutely love his contact rate as well. We'll call it 80%, and he's over 90% in the zone. Those are some benchmark numbers that we absolutely love to see. He's taking a more patient approach at the plate as well, and it seems like it's really paying off with his improved contact. Quality of contact is very nice. Exit velocity is approaching 92.5 miles an hour. His hard hit rate is over 51%. And yeah, so that means over 51% of the balls that he hits are 95 miles an hour or higher. His barrel rate is over 17%. Now, look, the hard hit rate and the barrel rate, they're not going to stay. But like we've said all season long, good things happen when you hit it hard. He's been an extreme fly ball hitter that pulls the ball a lot, but he also has power to all fields. And a line drive rate over 28% is also very appealing. He showed us last season that he's a 30-plus home run bat, but you'll forgive me if I remain skeptical of the 300 average. Still, he's a guy with a 60 grade hit tool. And when he was coming out of college, he was widely regarded as probably the best college hitter of the past decade. So we know there's some tools there in his toolbox. So maybe he can keep it up for a minute. But I have a hard time seeing him carrying that 300 average for the remainder of the season. But still, he's a fantastic ad. He's going to give you some power. He's driving in some runs. And quite frankly, it's a shame he's not even owned in half of Yahoo leagues.
Yeah. And that Tigers team is playing very well. I think they're 15-5, 15-6 in their last 21 games or something like that. So they've been playing very well. That youth movement there is, I like watching these young guys play. So
yeah, I know you like the young guys.
Oh yeah.
Moving along. The Rockies, Brendan Rodgers was once a highly regarded prospect that's never really lived up to his billing. However, he's been the number 4 second baseman over the past week. Can his hot streak continue?
Yeah, he's quietly having a nice season. And, he's on this recent power tear with hits in 8 of his last 13 as well. You mentioned number 4 in the last week. He's number 8 in the last 2 weeks. 13 games, 14 hits, a double, 3 homers, 6 driven in, 7 runs. Slash line's not super great, 269, 296. I like to see that on base a lot better. But he is slugging 462. But 0 walks, so that really explains that sub 300 on base and the 13 Ks. So, not everything is rosy, right? On the year, he's 118 games played, 24 doubles, a triple, 13 homers, 50 driven in, 59 runs scored. Strikeout rate's pretty much rated average, 22.6. Walk rate is low at 5.3. And he's slashing on the year, 276, 319, 423. And when I see that slash line, I pretty much see average, right? Yeah, the batting average is about 30 points higher than average, but the on base and slugging is very close to average this season. And looking at his underlying metrics, I see more pretty damn close to average, right? I'll just throw a StatCast on the board here. Oh, I'm going to have to take his banner off. That's a bummer. Hate that. But I mean, you can see, starting his expected stats there, hover around average. His WOBA there's in 36th percentile. But if you look at the rolling X WOBA there in the bottom left corner, in the last 250 plate appearances, you can see where his line has stayed very close to that dotted line there of that league average of 315. Average exit velocity, 55th percentile. Barrel rate, 31st percentile. Hard hit, 72nd. Sweet spot, 38th. Bat speed, 46. Squared up rate, 52nd. So, he's just average. You get the picture, right? Speaking of the picture, how do I take it down? Why is it gone? There, Jesus. I'm confused. It's been a bad day. I hate the third of the month. The Rockies, he hits well anywhere. The Rockies have him hitting anywhere in the 2 to 5 spot or in the top 5 spots of the lineup. He mostly hits number 2 or number 5. More fantasy at bats is definitely what you need come playoff time. And it really should be a time to roster some Colorado players. 12 of the last 24 games come at home. Starting today, they're on a 9-game road trip, but 2 of those series come at Atlanta and at Milwaukee. Both hitter parks. So if my math is correct, that means 15 of their last games there, 12 of them are at home. Could be a nice utility play with Rodgers in fantasy playoffs. I'm a bit surprised his percentage isn't a bit higher, but considering the offense he's on, I get it. And, the second base position for fantasy isn't the greatest. And this guy's about as hot as anybody else right now or any of the other options out there right now. So don't let the low roster percentage, turn you off from doing him. I'd assess your team and see if it makes sense to add Rodgers.
I can dig it.
This Toronto Blue Jays player has now started 10 straight games and 15 out of 16 at third or in the outfield and is hitting well enough to be a deep league ad. Matt, what's up with Addison Barger?
Well, over the past week, he's a number 7 third baseman. He's got a triple slash of 310, 375, 586, couple home runs, couple doubles. He's driven in 6 and scored 5. However, when you look at his season-long numbers, they're nowhere near as good. 209, 246, 392, just 6 home runs, 11 doubles, 24 driven in, and 16 scored. And this 24-year-old rookie has struggled early in his minor league career with strikeouts, then saw some improvement. He's struggling this season despite what he's done this past week. He's striking out over 26% of the time. Swing and miss is a tiny bit high, but not to the point of causing concern. I think there are some pitch recognition issues because of how high his called strike rate is. Walks are following the same trend. He carried rates from the mid-teens to low 20s in the minors, but in the show, he's barely over 4%. If you add him in an on-base percentage league, you'll be as disappointed as a guy that pays for a blowjob from an Eskimo and all she does is rub her nose on your junk. His contact rate is a little low at 76.2%. You like that one?
Oh, yeah.
But not bad. Same with his 84.6% zone contact rate. He's very passive in the zone, swinging at just 60.5% of pitches when league average is 66 flat. So we can see where all the called strikes are coming from. Quality of contact isn't bad. He doesn't have enough plate appearances to qualify, but he'd be better than the average hitter. His exit velocity is a little low at 88.6. The barrel rate's healthy at 9.6, and his hard hit rate is solid at 40%. He does produce a lot of weak contact, though, with a rate over 6%. Peaking at his batted ball profile, he's remarkably vanilla. Ground ball rate, fly ball rate, and line drive rate are all within a point of league average, as is his pull rate. The Blue Jays have taken advantage of his hot streak and moved him up to the heart of the order after hitting him in the bottom third the majority of the time. This will give him ample opportunity to produce runs, especially if his propensity for powerfully pummeled projectiles persists. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
The Braves' playoff hopes are hanging by a thread, and Orlando Arcia is doing his part to keep them in the race. Can he help keep our teams in the playoff race as well?
Definitely could. I mean, it's great team context. They start a 3-game series at home today versus the Rockies, a pitching staff that ranks last in ERA. So, and Colorado's going to use 2 lefty starters in the series, which is going to lead you to grabbing right-handed hitting Orlando Arcia or somebody on that Braves roster as well. So he just put up another top 50 week last week. In the last 2 weeks, he's the number 10 shortstop in fantasy, showing some power, averaging 3.7 points per game. In those 14 games, 11 hits, 2 doubles, 4 homers, 7 driven in, and 7 scored, 1 stolen base with 7 walks and just 10 Ks while slashing 224, 321, and slugging over 500. On the year, his slash line is less impressive. His batting average is the same, but his on base is 276, slugging's at 366, strikeout rate's above average, and walkout rate is not so great at 6.7 in the 30th percentiles. Looking at his underlying numbers, they're pretty underwhelming, right? He's not a hard contact hitter. Bat speed, average exit velocity, hard hit rate, all in the bottom third of hitters. Doesn't really barrel up many offerings either, but does a pretty damn good job of squaring up pitches with a rate in the 64th percentile. He's going to need to keep that up too, right? He's got a ground ball rate of almost 50%. That's not good, but he's got a nice pull rate with it, 46%, to get those balls past, those infield defenders. He's been more aggressive. His overall swing rate is up almost 2.5% year over year. His first pitch swing is at 30.7 this year. It's about 3% higher than last year and over 7% higher than just 2 seasons ago. I like him. He's a good pickup. He hits in the bottom third of the order. Yeah, but I'll take a guy that hits in the bottom third of the order on a team that is top 10 in hits, runs, RBIs, and OPS in the last month. They've been very good in the last 30 days. So he's an excellent infielder there. He's going to be in the lineup every damn day. He can go in your util spot. And at this time of the year, it's hard to find, guys for a util spot that aren't in platoon roles. This is a good pickup. Very solid pickup if you need a shortstop. Moving on to the outfield. This former top prospect for the north side, this Cubs outfielder, has been one of the best bats in the lineup since the start of August. If you need a boost along with some upside for some stolen base production, is Crow-Armstrong a good target, Matt?
He was an interesting read, I guess. So he's been the number 5 outfielder since August 16th, 373, 458, 608. That's good for a 1066 OPS. Gone yard 3 times, chipped in 3 doubles, driven in 13, scored 15, while striking out just 18.6% of the time. He has raised his batting average 27 points coming into the week with improved plate discipline there. On the whole, he's hitting 237, 287, 390, 7 home runs, 11 doubles, 6 triples, 37 driven in, and 33 scored. In his plate discipline, it looks okay on the surface, right? Strikeout rate's a little better than average and under 22%, but there is a ton of swing and miss with him as well. Real shocker there. He's got a swinging strike rate just under 14.5%, and his whiff rate of 27.8 puts him in the bottom third of the league. He's also struggling with zone control. His 40.4 chase rate is in the bottom 3% of batters, and that's just friggin' terrible. He doesn't walk much with a rate of just 5.4%, and he's never really carried a high walk rate in the minors either, and he never will until he stops swinging at almost half the pitches he sees out of the zone. In spite of all that, he's actually making contact over 75% of the time. His zone contact rate is just 80%, and really that's quite low. He's getting behind early in the count as well, seeing first pitch strikes 70% of the time and strikes in general over 53% of the time. And dude is a free swinger, offering it over 58% of the pitches he sees and a whopping 74.4% of pitches in the zone. The power has been nice, right? Plenty of extra base power and a little bit of home run pop. But his quality of contact is like a 4-step descent into despair. He's got an 88.9 mile an hour exit velocity, which is fine. You see his 6.6% barrel rate and now you're noticing things really just don't kind of feel right. Next up is his hard hit rate, just 35.8%. Now we're talking numbers in the bottom quarter of the league. And finally, his weak contact rate, an awful 9.7%, more than double the league average. He is a fly ball hitter that pulls the ball quite a bit. And that's where a good portion of his overall power is going to come from. He does have some power the other way, but all of his home runs have been from center field over to right. He's got just 330 plate appearances in his big league career, and he's on a heater. Ride it while it lasts, but get ready to bail once he starts to cool off, because it's going to come based on those underlying numbers. It's too much swing and miss. That's too much struggle with pitch recognition. I mean, swinging at over 40% of pitches out of the zone. Like, dude's just up there taking hacks. I get it. He's been lucky recently, and he's just running into a few. But that luck is going to run out.
Yeah, and I looked, in his BABIP's below average, about 5 points below the league average, so he's not getting lucky either.
No, not real. Well, I mean, when your weak contact rate is pushing 10%, you're not going to have a great BABIP.
Nope.
This Orioles pitcher has allowed three earned runs or fewer in his last 7 starts, yet is only rostered in about a third of leagues. Should we have been talking about Albert Suarez every week or what?
Yeah, we've talked about him a few times this year. I think it's been a little while, six weeks, maybe something like that. But yeah, you mentioned it. Yeah, since July 28th, 3 or fewer earned runs in his last 7 appearances. 6 of those were starts. He's the starting pitcher number 66 in that time, going 2-0 in just over 36 innings, 3 quality starts, striking out 27, 9 walks, just 3 home runs allowed, and just 10 earned runs with a 2.45 ERA and a 1.15 WHIP. On the year, strikeout rate is 18.6. It's below average. Walk rate is 7.6, so a little bit above average. All his pitching run values are all in the 70th percentile or better. He's really got some nice stuff. He was back in the majors this year after spending some time overseas. I think it was the KBO, but it might be. I think it is the K. I think he was in the KBO as well. He's got above average fastball, 94.8 miles an hour, but doesn't allow much hard contact with his high velocity offerings. Exit velocity, hard hit rate are just above average, sitting in the high 50s in terms of percentiles. Where he excels at is that barrel rate of just 5.7%. It is the 7th best barrel rate in the majors among all qualified pitchers. What's one thing he has to show for it? Keeping the ball in the park. Just 8 homers allowed on the year in 109 innings. Puts his home run per 9 at 0.66. That's just excellent. Even though his fly ball rate is kind of high, pretty high at 29%, combined with the average hard contact numbers, those fly balls are just turning into routine fly ball outs. I love that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? Some good, right? We're going to show you his warts. It's no surprise a guy with low strikeouts there won't generate much swing and miss, and that is pretty much true with Mr. Suarez here. Chase and whiff rates are both in the bottom third of pitchers, and he doesn't do himself any favors with a crappy ground ball rate of just 37%. I think the Orioles are going to keep him in the rotation. Zach Eflin just came back. I think they'll keep him in the rotation even after Grayson Rodriguez comes back. He has a start tomorrow versus the White Sox. Then is lined up for a 2-step next week at Boston and at Detroit. So maybe you could use him for an extra start next week as well. And he pitches for a team that is the top 5 of runs and OPS on the season. You grab him. If he got a spot, I consider holding him for the playoffs. And the best part is he's dual eligible. So put him in your release spot, get an extra start where you shouldn't be getting an extra start. So definitely a good pick.
We got a couple questions in the chat here. 2K is joining us. Would you add any of these pitchers? Gavin Williams, Savali, Cobb, Oler, Ortiz, and Darvish. I think for me, the 2 I would kind of circle in on would be Gavin Williams and Darvish. But Darvish has been out for a while, right?
Yeah, that's a risky one there.
It is, but I mean, in a vacuum, he's the best pitcher of that group.
Yeah, and Gavin Williams pitched well on Sunday. He's kind of struggled since coming back. He's been up and down. Cobb had a nice one the other day, too. What is that, Luis Ortiz?
Could be.
I'm guessing. Luis L. Ortiz, I should say. Yeah. Yeah, I'm only picking up Gavin if I'm going to. That's my recommendation.
All right, where's that one at? I like Gavin and I like Darvish. Let's see here. We got Angelo in. Arrighetti only owned 34% in ESPN, starting him tomorrow. He's been on a heater. He's had a really up and down season, but the strikeouts with him are really nice.
Yep.
And then we got Eugenio Suarez or PCA.
Suarez.
Agreed.
He's been on a tear, just a tear out there in Arizona. Yeah, we talked about PCA, but Suarez is the play there.
I think so too. I think PCA is a little bit of fool's gold at the moment. There's some talent there though. And then Kelsey says, sports superstitions, are they a real thing?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes, they are.
I think I didn't wash my jack strap for a whole season once. Bad luck. Boy, did I smell.
Yes. They're very, very real.
Yes,
and they work.
Are. All right. One more guy. I got a reliever, pretty good one. This Cubs pitcher has recorded either a win or a save in 4 of his past 5 outings and is not allowed a run in 11 consecutive appearances. Matt, tell everyone more about Porter Hodge.
Porter Hodge. Well, let me get his thing here. He is the number 7 relief pitcher since the 16th of August with a 0 ERA, a 1.08 whip, struck out 15, walked just 5, only allowed 4 hits, 2 saves, 2 holds, and 8 1/3 innings pitched. And right now he's splitting time at closer with Jorge Lopez for the time being, but he has the stuff to take over that role. Season-long numbers look pretty good as well. He's 3-1 with a 1.80 ERA. FIPS at 235, xFIPS at 3 1/4. So there's been some luck there, but he's got a whip under 1, 45 strikeouts, 15 walks. He's had just 1 dong dropped on him in 35 innings pitched. And when I look at closers, the first thing I look at is for somebody that gets strikeouts, and this dude fits the bill. He's striking out a full third of batters he faces with a K/9 over 11.5. Missing bats, not an issue either. He's got a swinging strike rate over 12.5%, and his whiff rate is well over 30. Clearly, he has no problems going out there and finishing guys off. The second place I look is walks. He's definitely somebody that carries a high possibility of beating himself. His walk rate is over 11%, and he's walking almost 4 batters per 9. And despite good velo on his fastball and excellent movement along both planes on his sweeper, he's not really fooling anyone at the plate. His chase rate is just 24.5%. Contact numbers with him do look pretty good, though. His overall rate is just 71.1%. And though he's a tick high in the zone, I'm not losing any sleep over that 86% contact rate there. He doesn't work in the zone as much as most of his peers, and batters are pretty patient against him overall because of it. Quality of contact is excellent. Practically no one is hitting his balls hard. His EV is at 88.5. Barrel rate is a minuscule 2.7%, and his hard hit rate is just over 35.5%. His weak contact rate is a little bit low, but not to the point of being concerned. He's a fly ball pitcher. It gives up a good amount of line drives, but he doesn't get pulled much. That's helped him keep the ball in the park, and he should be able to keep that up provided his batted ball profile stays close to what it is now. If he continues to keep the ball in the park, that should help to mitigate any self-inflicted damage from the high walk rate. It is a committee there at the moment. I was looking at Closer Monkey earlier today, and pretty much everyone has them. Him and Lopez is kind of splitting time. I think Hodge has better stuff, and here over the next, we'll call it week to 10 days, provided the Cubs give him ample opportunity for saves, I think he's going to separate himself in that competition and take over the closer role full time.
Okay, we got a quick question. from 2K again. I lost it. Ranger Suarez or Jared Jones droppable. I know Jones was injured. He came back, looked like ass. His last start was a little bit better. Ranger's
I mean,
not been good.
I guess anyone is droppable. It really just depends on who you're going to replace him with.
Yeah. And Jared Jones, man, he started the season good. Like he was averaging like 7 strikeouts a game. ERA was just a tick over 3. He was looking real good.
Yeah, he was. But I mean, it was his first taste of the show, and those injuries, they add up.
Yep. Oh, Supersonic says grades mean 0. Does that mean the fantasy football grade you was pimping last week doesn't mean nothing, LB? That's right. Those grades are all about how you drafted your players compared to Yahoo's, projections and stuff, rankings. It's down. Word of the day, droppable. All right, so that's everybody. We got the podcast league. It's the final week before the playoffs. Supersonics in. The 6th seed is up for grabs. That'd be me, AJ's team, Uncle Ted, and Mr. Green Bastards Matt there. I play Brandon, AJ, and Matt. They play each other. That's a huge matchup to get in, and Uncle Team plays LB. Will the drama unfold this week, Matt? If you win and I lose and Uncle Ted lose, you're in because of points.
That's right.
Well, yeah, that's and then you
with
got
almost 10,000.
And then you got Loud Boy and the Pizza Boy. Mike, are they going to play spoiler? We'll see what happens. Or will I claim what's mine and get the spot? I'll just say the 5-word phrase.
Shit.
I'll just say the 5-word phrase we use way too much on here. It'll be interesting to see.
I'm going to take it because Brandon is going to whoop your ass.
Nah,
Kip
not gonna happen.
is going to take out Uncle Ted. In Juice, now I'm a man on a mission. I'm representing here.
Well, good luck. Good luck. We need shirtless promos now, guys. Never gonna happen.
I think she was offering.
Oh. Well, I was gonna keep my mouth shut.
See, ample opportunities for success.
Heck yeah. All right. Again, we work hard for you. Give us a like and subscribe if you like this content. We'd really appreciate it. The pressure's on with the fantasy playoffs. So we got everyone for next week there. So don't miss Thursday's episode, 7 p.m. We're talking 2-star pitchers and streamers. And we're pulling double duty on Thursday night. And for the next couple weeks, our fantasy football live stream will be on Thursday, or pretty much 15 minutes after this one at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll be previewing the opening week of the NFL on opening night. There's Thursday night football going on. Chiefs, Ravens should be great. Have a great evening, everyone. Stay stoned.
See you, folks, in the stream.